Tiffany Henyard, the former mayor of Dalton, has found herself at the center of a major scandal that has left the town in financial turmoil. Once known for her extravagant spending, including nearly $200,000 on banners featuring her face, Henyard has now admitted to financial difficulties, highlighting the stark contrast between her past lavish lifestyle and her current situation. Her plea for financial assistance has shocked many, given her history of using taxpayer money for personal indulgences, while the residents of Dalton struggled to make ends meet. Henyard's spending habits were a major point of controversy. While the city faced mounting financial struggles, including essential services like the fire department, operating without a contract for 5 years, she appeared indifferent to the hardships of her constituents. Instead, she continued to lavishly spend public funds on herself, including $1 million security detail and extravagant trips. Despite this overspending, essential services were neglected, and the average Dalton household barely managed to get by. Henyard's financial mismanagement did not stop at personal luxuries. It was revealed that she had taken out millions of dollars in personal loans using city infrastructure as collateral, deepening the city's financial crisis as creditors sought repayment. Reports indicated that even police department vehicles were at risk of being repossessed due to mounting debt. One of the most troubling aspects of Henyard's tenure involved her exploitation of the Section 8 housing program, designed to provide affordable housing for low-income families. She owned a property that qualified for Section 8 payments but allowed it to fall into severe disrepair, with mold, water damage, and other hazards. Despite the unsafe living conditions, she continued to collect government subsidies. By November 2019, the property was deemed uninhabitable. Beyond housing fraud, Henyard's actions were part of a broader pattern of corruption and financial abuse. Instead of prioritizing the well-being of Dalton's residents, she indulged in personal luxuries at taxpayers' expense. Her lavish trips, costly security detail, and excessive spending on personal banners drained the city's resources, while residents endured unsafe living conditions, a lack of basic services, and financial instability. The fallout from Henyard's tenure has been severe. Dalton now faces an enormous financial crisis, with lawsuits from creditors, mounting debt, and an inability to pay its bills. Essential services like fire protection and police assistance are now at risk, leaving residents fearful of losing these critical protections altogether. The damage Henyard caused may take years to repair, if it can be repaired at all. Despite overwhelming evidence against her, Henyard has seemingly avoided responsibility. She has continued to live a life of luxury while Dalton's residents suffer the consequences of her actions. Further complicating the situation, she has disappeared from the public eye, skipping over 25 board meetings and resigning from her position as mayor. In her absence, the town has been left without leadership, adding to the uncertainty surrounding the investigation into her financial dealings. It is becoming increasingly clear that Henyard's actions were not merely cases of poor financial management, but a deliberate pattern of corruption and fraud. Her ability to avoid accountability despite mounting evidence has left the public furious. The residents of Dalton, who once trusted her leadership, are now left to pick up the pieces of the financial disaster she created. The scandal surrounding Henyard has triggered a full-fledged criminal inquiry. Investigators are examining her personal transactions, the misuse of taxpayer money, and her involvement in fraudulent schemes. Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot is reportedly leading the investigation, determined to uncover the full extent of Henyard's wrongdoing. As more details emerge, it is evident that Henyard's actions were part of a long-standing pattern of abuse of power. She manipulated the system for personal gain, while Dalton's residents suffered the consequences. Public anger continues to grow as demands for justice intensify. Meanwhile, Henyard is reportedly selling off personal belongings in a desperate attempt to sustain herself, an ironic downfall for someone who once lived so extravagantly on taxpayer funds. Dalton is now in dire straits, struggling to recover from the financial crisis left in Henyard's wake. Basic services like fire protection and police assistance remain in jeopardy, and residents are left wondering if they will ever regain stability. In the midst of the chaos, Henyard's request for financial assistance has only fueled public outrage. Many question how she could squander taxpayer money so recklessly, yet still seek help to maintain her lifestyle. The ongoing FBI investigation into her financial dealings is expected to uncover The ongoing scandal surrounding Tiffany Henyard, the former mayor of Dalton, continues to unravel, revealing a troubling pattern of financial mismanagement, corruption, and attempts to evade responsibility. Recent revelations indicate that Dalton police had a business license revoked for an individual who refused to participate in Henyard's schemes. Furthermore, multiple former employees have come forward with allegations of being fired for refusing to assist in covering up public documents or engaging in unethical activities. These claims paint a damning picture of a mayor who exploited her position for personal gain, further accelerating Dalton's financial and moral decline. One of the most alarming findings in the investigation is that Henyard allegedly secured personal loans using city infrastructure as collateral. Public property intended to benefit the people of Dalton was reportedly put at risk to finance her personal financial ventures, an action that is not only ethically questionable, but potentially illegal. Her reckless financial maneuvers left Dalton burdened with debt, a tarnished credit rating, and essential services in jeopardy. Police vehicles faced repossession, the fire department remained without contracts, and basic infrastructure crumbled as a direct result of her mismanagement. Henyard's desperate attempts to regain control of her situation have only fueled further outrage. She recently launched a GoFundMe campaign, purportedly to raise money for her expenses, including banner costs and extravagant vacations. The irony of this plea is not lost on the residents of Dalton, many of whom are still reeling from her reckless spending of taxpayer dollars. Her GoFundMe campaign has shockingly raised nearly $155,000, intensifying suspicions that she is using the funds to evade the consequences of her actions. Some even speculate that she may be planning to flee the country to avoid prosecution, given her history of disappearing when faced with scandal. Dalton residents are growing increasingly frustrated as lawsuits mount, and the town grapples with the financial disaster left in Henyard's wake. Despite her efforts to deflect blame, the people of Dalton are demanding accountability. Investigations into her finances continue, and it is becoming evident that her actions will have long-lasting repercussions for the town. The people of Dalton are hopeful that justice will prevail and that Henyard will be held accountable for the damage she has inflicted. Henyard's past behavior only adds to the confusion and anger surrounding her current actions. As mayor, she spent exorbitant amounts on vanity projects, including $199,000 for banners featuring her own face, extravagant vacations, excessive security details, and other personal luxuries. Meanwhile, the town's infrastructure deteriorated. Contracts for essential services went unfulfilled, and the financial stability of Dalton crumbled. Now, having left the town in dire straits, she is seeking financial support from the very people she exploited. Many believe that Henyard's GoFundMe campaign is less about genuine need and more about manipulating public sympathy. While some donors may see it as an effort to help her escape financial ruin, others view it as yet another scheme to avoid accountability. Her continued efforts to shift focus away from her misconduct and play the victim have not gone unnoticed. Residents are now more vocal in their demands for justice, unwilling to allow her to manipulate the narrative any further. As the FBI investigation into her financial dealings progresses, the people of Dalton are watching closely. The evidence against Henyard continues to pile up, and her downfall seems inevitable. The question is not whether she will face consequences, but when. The residents of Dalton are determined to ensure that she is held accountable for her actions and that justice is served. As more details emerge, it becomes clear that Henyard's time is running out, and the town will no longer tolerate her evasion of responsibility.